You've probably heard it a dozen times, right? A goldfish will only grow to the size of its tank. It's one of those pieces of advice that gets passed around for generations. But what if I told you that this common wisdom isn't just wrong? It's actually hiding a much darker truth.
So this is the big question. Does a goldfish have some kind of magic ability to know when to stop growing in a small bowl and then, just restart if it moves to a big pond? It sounds like a pretty amazing adaptation, but the real science tells a completely different story.
Okay, let's just break this down. On one side, you've got this comforting idea that a fish just adapts its size to fit its home. But the scientific reality, it's much, much harsher. That small fish isn't adapting. Its growth is being physically stunted because of poor health. It's not a choice. It's a symptom of a much bigger problem.
So why does this myth even exist? I mean, why does it persist? It's because people have seen it with their own eyes. Fish in small tanks do stay small. But the reason for it is what we've all misunderstood. What we're actually seeing is a process called stunting.
Stunting is the official term, and trust me, it is not a gentle process. It means the fish's development has been forcibly stopped. Its internal organs can actually keep growing, while its skeleton is basically frozen in place, which leads to deformities and a way shorter life. It's not some neat biological trick, it's a profound failure to thrive.
Now, what's really fascinating here is one of the main causes of this stunting. It's completely invisible, it's produced by the fish itself, and in a small tank, it becomes incredibly powerful.
And this is how goldfish becomes its own worst enemy. According to fish veterinarian Dr. Richmond Lowe, goldfish release these specific hormones that basically tell other goldfish to stop growing. Now, in a big pond, these hormones just spread out and disappear. But in a small tank, they build up to toxic levels, and the fish essentially poisons its own growth.
To get just a little bit technical for a second, it works like this. A fish's body naturally produces growth hormone. But when those growth-inhibiting hormones start to build up in the water, they trigger what's called a negative feedback loop. They basically tell the brain to slam on the brakes and stop making the very hormones needed for growth. The whole system just grinds to a halt.
Okay, so we know what stops growth. But what's the secret recipe to unlock a goldfish's true potential? Well, it really comes down to two key things. First up, the environment.
So why do experts always recommend a minimum of 20 gallons per goldfish? It's not just about giving them room to swim, it's all about dilution. More water means those self-produced growth-inhibiting hormones and all their waste products just can't reach a high enough concentration to do any real damage. It's probably the single most important factor for growth.
Next, let's talk temperature. Goldfish are cold-blooded, which just means their metabolism is directly tied to the temperature of their water. For maximum growth, especially when they're young, a consistent temperature right around 75 degrees Fahrenheit or 24 Celsius is the sweet spot.
And the effect of temperature is absolutely huge. One study showed that just by raising the water temperature by 5 degrees Celsius, that's about 9 degrees Fahrenheit, you can literally double a goldfish's growth rate in just 1 month. Wow! That's how powerful this single factor is. Next, we need to talk about what fuels all that growth: oxygen. Fish need highly oxygenated water to efficiently turn their food into energy. The goal is 100% saturation. If those oxygen levels drop, the fish's metabolism slows down, its appetite disappears, and growth stops dead in its tracks. Of course, all the oxygen in the world won't help if the water is toxic. In any tank, fish waste creates this whole cocktail of growth-stopping pollutants. Ammonia physically damages their gills, making it harder to breathe. Nitrite gets into their bloodstream and pretty much suffocates the fish from the inside out. And yeah, even high levels of nitrite, the final product, will stunt growth. Keeping that water pristine is absolutely non-negotiable.
So, we've built the perfect house. Now we need to provide the perfect fuel. The second part of our growth recipe is all about their diet and their feeding strategy.
It turns out there's a real science to feeding for growth. A 2019 study pinpointed the exact formula. As you can see in that highlighted row, feeding 3% of the fish's body weight per day, spread across 4 small meals, resulted in the absolute best growth. Feeding more was just wasteful, and feeding any less was, well, suboptimal.
So here it is, broken down into some simple steps for you. You weigh your fish, or, estimate it, and calculate 3% of that. Then, you divide that total amount of food into 4 smaller portions to feed them throughout the day. The real key here is to only give them what they can eat in about a minute, which ensures that no food goes to waste and pollutes the water.
But it's not just about how much food, it's also about what kind of food.
A varied diet is absolutely essential. Think of high-quality pellets as their main meal, but then you want to supplement that with protein-rich foods like bloodworms to build muscle, and greens like peas or zucchini to help their digestive system, which, fun fact, doesn't even have a stomach. So what happens when you combine the perfect environment with the perfect fuel? Well, you unlock the incredible genetic potential that's been hiding inside that little fish all along. And the results can be just stunning. This is Silverado. He was a common comet goldfish, but with proper care in a 100-gallon tank, he grew to a massive 14 inches long. This right here is a perfect example of what it means to unlock a goldfish's true potential.
And you know what? Even Silverado has been outdone. The official Guinness World Record for the longest goldfish is an astonishing 47.4 centimeters. That's over 18.5 inches. That is longer than a bowling pin. That's the true genetic potential we're talking about.
So ultimately, that tiny goldfish in a bowl isn't some marvel of adaptation. It's really just a testament to survival under some pretty harsh conditions. Knowing what you know now about what it takes for them to not just survive, but to truly thrive, what will you do? Thanks for joining me.